We're talking Twitter this time on Falls Count Anywhere. Check it out.
I like how you just threw away 90% of it. Now, fuck that. Just threw
I'm
it
not
away.
a wordsmith. What the hell do I know?
Welcome back to your favorite wrestling commentary spinoff show, Falls Count Anywhere. I'm the varsity athlete, Jeremy Bodette. With me, as always, is the Professor Matthew Lambert. We have taken a couple of weeks off. We had a nice Thanksgiving holiday. We're getting back into it. We're going to ease into it, but at the same time, we're at the end of the year. No reason to go crazy. So I realized that I had been collecting. Every time I see an interesting tweet or something that might be kind of interesting to comment on, I just kind of like take a little snapshot of it and sort of store it. And I built up quite a library of these snapshots, and I realized that we hadn't really talked about a lot of them. So I threw away some of the old ones that weren't pertinent, and I threw away some of the new ones that maybe we talked about on the main show, and maybe even some that we dive pretty deep into on the main show. And I thought it might be interesting just to sit back and maybe do some deep dive, more casual conversations about some of these things that are posted on Twitter. So we'll start, and I will make sure to include snapshots so you guys can watch along with me. So this is actually, I'm gonna use a tweet that I made earlier.
Good start.
Yep, a good way to start. So I shared a tweet from Mind Over Sports Entertainment. AEW estimated revenue numbers: 2020, 64 million. 2021, 86 million. 2022, 100 million. 2023, 170 to 175 million. And I said, we've been saying this all year. AEW is not falling or failing. It's building a lasting company that takes time. It's been 4 years. In 1984, WWE was worth only $61 million, inflation adjusted. If Tony Khan makes smart decisions, he can easily turn AEW into a $1 billion company in the next decade. Does that, well, I guess the first thought is, since how I'm tweeting on all of our behalfs on this, is that something that you agree with? Is that something that you align with?
Yeah, I saw that same capture that you put up there, and it makes total sense to me. Definitely, if he continues, if he keeps going down the road he's going down and making smart decisions, like you said, yeah, I've seen no reason why they shouldn't be making that kind of money.
I don't understand where this impatience or this sense of urgency comes from. I understood it 4 years ago when AEW was putting out an amazing product and we only got to see it once every 4 months and we had to pay $50. But now, multiple shows on TV every week. They're all over Twitter, highlight clips. You can buy merchandise in the stores if you want.
They're signing big names.
They're signing big names. They're traveling around. We got to see them live on at least 2 different occasions here locally to us. Like, why is everybody in such a big rush to see this company basically go the way of WCW, to blow up a supernova and then collapse into itself like this dying star?
I think it's kind of what we discussed on the main show. What you've been accused of recently is tribalism. I think that's all it really is. They want to see him fail because they're WWE fans or whatever.
Really? You think this tribalism? Like, do you think that there are people out there that want to see AEW fail?
Absolutely, there are.
That aren't like WWE and just want to buy them up for their talent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Genuine fans. I'm trying to understand where that comes from, because it's a good product, even if you're not.
And competition obviously makes WWE better. I mean, as soon as WCW went out, we know that. WWE was terrible for years, if not
the
a
whole
decade.
John Cena era, basically.
Yeah, the whole mid 2000s, 2010s were awful.
Yeah, you could probably name on one hand the actual draws. Undertaker being one of them. But that once a year at WrestleMania, we give a crap about it. The rest of the year, who cares?
So, I mean, yeah, seeing AEW fail just doesn't make sense. And were those numbers profits or what they...
Revenue.
Were they profited? So just what they made
just
for the
revenue.
Year. Gotcha. So, I mean, yeah, that narrative of them failing and going out of business and whatnot, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, I admit TK...
They might not be profitable. That's a different conversation.
And I think it's... I mean, if you make money in your first 4 years, that's almost unheard of.
Right.
I mean, most
That's
businesses-
any business anywhere.
And if the reports are to believed, and there's no reason to believe the reports, they're going to lose something like $36 million this year.
Right.
But they sign new TV deals. They get a huge influx of cash. I think they definitely bit off more than they could chew. They would definitely be doing themselves a favor if they went to places like Erie, Pennsylvania at their Civic Center.
Smaller venues.
Glens Falls Civic Center, like under 5,000 seat arenas, they could sell out a 3,500 to a 5,000 seat arena and have a really good show and not have to do a bunch of. I don't know why they're going to these big arenas for non-premium live events, non-pay-per-views.
It's the optics.
It seems like they're kind of, and that's exactly it. So then you get people in there with their cell phones taking pictures of the arena and being like, "Oh God, AEW must be failing," and it's like.
But you still get those pictures with SmackDown this week. SmackDown last week that CM
Yeah, it
Punk was
didn't-
cutting the
yeah,
promo.
it
The
didn't look
who
good.
side was empty. So
Yeah, it didn't look great.
yeah,
So it's like
WWE
that's
still
not-
faces the same exact thing.
that's not indicative of whether a wrestling company is being successful or not. It has to do with the story that they're telling, the talent that they're acquiring or keeping. Like, if all of a sudden half the roster walked away from their AEW contracts, that would be obviously a huge problem. If they don't sign MJF, that's obviously a huge problem. But, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me that the company revenue is continuing to grow. They're continuing to expand their talent base. They're continuing to expand their travel. They're selling as good or better than they were a year ago. I'm not. They're about to sign a huge TV deal with somebody. We don't know who it's going to be yet, but we know it's going to be there. It's like I don't see failure. I see slow.
Yeah.
I see steady, but I don't see failure in that.
Yeah.
And if you look at the growth of WWE, it's the exact same thing. It's 10% year over year over year forever.
Right.
And before
That's
you know
that's
it-
the other thing people forget is WWE's been doing this for 40 years.
yeah.
And AEW is still in their
And-
5th year.
The other benefit to that is WWE, when you're that big, you get a lot of momentum behind you. You can stand to absorb some of the mistakes that you make. Whereas AEW, they're kind of walking a fine line. If they
Right.
make one too many big mistakes, they're going to fall off the cliff. But it's the same reason why nobody goes to watch Disney movies anymore, and yet Disney is still making $250 million films because they're so big, they got so much momentum behind them that they can afford to push through mistakes that they make.
Right.
All right, let's move on. This tweet, again, I'll show it below, is from Steve from Falls Count Anywhere. He lists his top 5 moments that he witnessed live in 2023, which he says are in no particular order. And I want you to see if you notice about these 5 what I noticed. Bad Bunny's Backlash entrance. Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber. Rey Mysterio and Dom's WrestleMania entrances. Judgment Day wins the tag titles at the WWE Payback versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And the crowd sings John Cena's entrance music in London at Money in the Bank. Those are his 5. Did you notice what
Those are
I
his
noticed?
5 big moments.
Those are his top 5 moments he witnessed live in 2023.
I don't crowd reaction.
I thought 3 of the 5 top wrestling moments you witnessed
We're not wrestling.
were entrances.
Yeah.
Were entrances. They weren't heel. They weren't this incredible betrayal heel turn. They weren't this ridiculous match that occurred.
This crazy move off a ladder or something.
They
Yeah.
weren't. It was, and I understand having one of them. I mean, the Backlash show was insanely good.
Yeah.
After WrestleMania, Puerto Rico really stepped up.
Yeah.
And there were some really cool moments in there, even like Carlito coming out and stuff. Like, I don't mind you mentioning something like that, or like a surprise Royal Rumble entrance or something like that. Like, that kind of stuff makes sense, especially if it's like Edge coming back or that huge moment, something like that. But to have 3 of the 5 of your top moments, it makes me think you only watched entrances for the entire year. Because there have been some amazing, amazing matches.
And again, I think that's why WWE appeals to casual fans so much. The casual fans aren't
Yeah.
necessarily there for the match.
It's the zeitgeist.
Right.
It's this culture that they build around themselves.
They get excited for the music. They get excited for the entrances. And then, my fiance is the same way. She'll watch the entrances and the music and hear the crowd singing and everything. And then during the match, she's looking at her phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what appeals to the casual fans, not the diehards like
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, and I think that the takeaway, the lesson from WWE might be, yeah, you don't have to make someone a diehard fan to get them to buy $50 worth of merchandise.
Right?
And that's what it comes down to. Or if you can actually build a brand with somebody, if you can convince the population that they're worth something, they'll collect a billion pop figures of every WWE superstar.
Right.
And that's going to drive your revenue up too. So, yeah, it just struck me. It really struck me, and not just at how the industry has changed over the last, let's say, since COVID, even the last 3 to 5 years, but it really created a huge contrast because Steve really only covers WWE and travels to WWE shows. It really struck me as like, dude, if I were to list my top 5 AEW moments, an entrance would not be on them. An entrance,
What do you mean? You didn't like when Penta El Zero changed his outfit at All In?
That's the stuff that I'm talking about. Like, there were no All In. Okay, you might say like Chris Jericho singing his own entrance theme at All In or something to the band. Like, but again, even that like was not a great moment. But for me at least.
Definitely not top 5.
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely not top 5. All right, let's get nostalgic here for a minute. So, the Hardys want out of AEW. At least that's the suspicion. I don't know
Really?
if you, I don't know if you heard about this. So
I haven't heard that.
Matt Hardy was on his podcast, and he was talking with his brother Jeff.
Oh, I think they're not having the run they were expecting to have, or something like that.
I think
right?
that they were hoping for something better, and I'm wondering how many different places you have to go and not have a good run before it's not them, it's you.
Right.
Jeff Hardy even mentioned, he said, before he left WWE, he was kind of feeling like he was a ghost walking around backstage. He didn't know why he was there. He didn't understand his purpose. He didn't feel like he was being used. He got released for a whole variety of reasons unrelated to him being a ghost. And then went to AEW and got, this new excitement. Now he's starting to feel like a ghost again behind the scenes at AEW. And I'm wondering if it's like, dude, if you're just like if you just keep effing up, if you just keep screwing, and even Matt,
and it's not necessarily that they're screwing up either. It's
Matt doesn't F up in the same way that Jeff does, but like, that whole
the contract thing with Ethan Page,
the contract
the
thing,
firm deletion.
I was going to mention primarily the firm deletion because that was really his big push, and it got a lot of fan support out of the gate. And then everybody watched the match, and they were like,
yeah,
this is not what I thought it would be. Right? It was them and the Briscoes, right? Weren't the Briscoes going to be involved?
No, it was Hook and the firm, obviously, and Private Party. They were all involved.
Oh, Private Party, I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And Hook took off. Hook got a huge like.
Right, Hook was in it.
It just really struck me. And Private Party got a little bump after that too. But it really struck me that it's like, yeah, I'm kind of wondering, like, as much as I like the Hardys and as much as they have a lot of talent and capability, their time might just be past.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're a better fit for TNA. I don't know.
That would be kind of cool to see them go back to TNA. The Dudleys, or at least Bully Ray, is there now. Well, I think Devon's there too, isn't he? Or he was for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, Devon's not really around anywhere anymore,
Right.
but I think he poked his head up.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. See him go to TNA for a while. Do one last run there.
Here's one. As we were recording the last show that you were with us on a couple of weeks ago, a tweet Ric Flair tweeted in response to a lot of the hate that he was getting.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought I would read it because it's kind of out of character for him. He said, I am so tired of hearing all the negativity. I don't need to work and I don't need the money. Can't I simply enjoy being with my dear friend Sting for the next few months without so much hatred? I know I'm old, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy life. I've earned the right to do whatever I want, and I'm exactly where I want to be. I appreciate everything, Tony Khan, but I'm more than willing to walk away if I'm embarrassing you and your company. All I can say is I'm sorry.
That was after his promo on Rampage, where he said something to the women coming back to the hotel. Right.
Which didn't go well at all.
I saw that tweet and I heard about it. It kind of sounded to me like he wasn't being combative. He was literally being like, I'm just here to have a good time. If you don't want me here, that's cool. I'll step away. It kind of I got a feeling of humility out of it, actually, which is kind of out of character for him.
I kind of got this I kind of felt a little sad for him because he's still living. It's clear to me that he's still living in like the 1980s.
A different time, yeah.
An entire, and he is the last remnant of the territory
The golden
era.
age, yeah.
He really, let's think about this. He said what he said live in front of a crowd at a taping.
And it got edited out before it went to TV.
I was going to say, you rewind the clock back even 15 years, maybe even 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
And that never even breaks. It doesn't even make it to the dirt sheet.
Mm-hmm.
2,500 people in the crowd hear that he says that and go, ooh, 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 and they go back home and maybe they tell their friends about it. And they never see it on the television.
Right.
And it never gets out, and he never has to apologize for speaking out of turn. And it struck me that, yeah, he is living in a different age in which you can get away with that kind of stuff. And
Right.
unfortunately for the artist, because it stifles creativity when you feel like you can't make a mistake. It really stifles creativity when you're living in that age. And I just felt really kind of bad and kind of sad. And now you've got this guy, and he's, don't get me wrong, he's no angel, but he's a legend. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
And this legend has been brought to his knees over what? Over a comment he made that was going to get edited out and never actually make it to TV regardless? I mean, they weren't going
A
to...
comment that he's made
A billion,
hundreds, thousands of times.
on television.
Yeah.
Like, it's
That was every week on Nitro for years.
to me, it was he's winking at the Nitro girls. Like, to me, it was just one of those times where I was like, wrestling is moving in a good direction a lot of times. This is not one of them.
Yeah.
This is not one of those times at all. This tweet is from a little over a week ago, actually almost 2 weeks ago. Wrestling Mark, one of my favorite follows, tracks the amount of actual wrestling on shows this week.
Oh boy.
On
This is always
AEW,
interesting.
AEW Collision, there was 63 minutes.
Okay.
Representing
for a 2-hour show.
representing 53% of the show. On AEW Dynamite, there was 60 minutes, representing 50% of the show.
Mm-hmm.
On Rampage, it was 30 minutes, 50% of the show. WWE Raw, 62 minutes, 34% of the show. And SmackDown, 33 minutes, 28%. On AEW TV, there was 153 minutes and 5 hours of television. 153. So what's that? 2.5
hours.
A little over 2.5 hours of 5 hours of TV. And WWE, same 5 hours. There was only 95 minutes. It was an hour and a half of wrestling.
Wait, how much was in the AEW? 153
153.
hours? And how
153
much
minutes.
wrestling total?
No, there's 5 hours and 153 minutes. So
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
2.5.
Gotcha.
About 50%.
Yep.
And there was only an hour and a half out of 5 hours of WWE television. That's a pretty stark contrast between the two companies.
And again, I go back to the casual fan. The casual fans really don't care about the wrestling.
I'm just wondering, like, what is WWE selling? If you and I were to try to create WWE today and we wanted investors, what would our pitch be? What are we selling these people? We can't say wrestling because we're spending only 25% of our time selling to them. Mm-hmm. Wrestling is clearly the conduit, but I don't know what we're selling. I don't know what we're selling.
Yeah, you can't even. Back in the day, you could call it a soap opera. You say you're selling soap opera storylines, but they're not even doing that
It's like
anymore.
if we were to say entertainment, they'd say, okay, but what kind of entertainment? Well, sports entertainment. Well, football is sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Baseball is sports entertainment. Cage fighting is sports entertainment. Golf is sports entertainment. What are you selling? And I kind of, when I read that tweet, I was kind of like, I watch WWE sometimes, but I don't. Now, the only time that I watch WWE, that I turn on the television to watch WWE, is when I'm at the gym and I'm running on the treadmill or I'm riding on the bike. And I literally I watch it on mute. Sometimes I put the closed captioning on and I just kind of follow, oh, yeah, this person did this or this person did that. Actually, half the time I don't know what's going on because they're just talking to each other.
Right.
So I don't really, you can kind of tell, but you don't really know. And it just made me think, like, it started a philosophical conversation or discussion inside my head between the many voices that, was like, what are they selling? Like, and what am I buying? Why am I donating my eyeballs to them for?
Yep.
I always said I love wrestling, but are they selling me wrestling anymore?
Doesn't sound like
I'm
it.
not sure. Now, the PLEs, they're selling wrestling.
Yep.
There's a lot of wrestling in the PLEs. So, yeah, it made me really wonder if I should continue even watching at the gym.
That's the only time I watch now is the PLEs for WWE.
Yeah, I'm not sure it makes much sense to do it, unfortunately, to do it the other way. Maybe if the wrestling picks up a little bit more. By the way, Big Bronson Reed versus Ivar.
Oh, I heard that was good.
It was a great match. Watch it.
Yep, I gotta go back and watch
Find
that.
it and watch it. Exceptional match. Great ending. Ivar goes. I'm gonna ruin this one for you, but this one had my eyes up. Ivar went to the top rope and jumped out of the ring. Did a front spin and did like a front spinning shoulder tackle, and hit Bronson Reed and landed on his back on the ground.
Oof.
I mean, it was like splat like a pancake. And that
That's
was only like
bad.
halfway through the match.
Jeez.
It was a very good match.
I wouldn't take that bump.
It was a very, very good match. Okay. So there's still little glimmers of hope in the mid card. Okay. Jack Perry is back. His suspension was up in October,
Yep.
so it must have been about 2 months. He's back. Assuming they want to put him on television, what should they do with Jack Perry? I don't think he's the devil. I think it's pretty safe.
I've
to
already
say he's
said
not
I
the
think
devil.
he's very probable to be the devil, but
Do you think he's the devil? You really think he's the devil?
I said on the main show, if it's either him or Adam Cole, they make the most sense. I don't know who else it could be other than those two.
But I just mean looking at him, he can't be the devil.
I mean,
But do they make him the devil afterwards?
they
But
could do that.
That is not the same guy that stood next to that car.
Unless he was working out pretty hard during his time away. I don't know.
Taking some HGH or something.
I actually did see something else that he trademarked. Didn't he trademark his Jungle Boy name?
Jungle Jack or
So
something.
maybe
he
he'll go
trademarked.
back to his old gimmick when he comes back.
Which would be... No, you know what? No, thank you. He trademarked Jurassic... what was the tag team he had?
Jurassic Express?
Jurassic Express.
Was
That's
that
what
it?
he trademarked. And I think he trademarked something else related to the tag team gimmick that he had going with Luchasaurus.
So maybe he's going to come back and save Lucha from Christian.
So those were, and that, I think that could be a good story.
Or maybe he joins Christian, one or the other.
You get a face turn. You could get a face turn, him pulling Lucha back. Tag team division with FTR not really being around has kind of lagged a little bit. That could be an interesting angle. Reunite the group. They were a really good tag team. I like those offbeat tag teams.
Yeah.
The Ricochet and Braun Strowman. I like those mismatches. All right, this is the last one I got. WWE had some releases this year, obviously.
Yep.
More than a few.
Only
And-
one on screen, right?
And well, at the time of the release, yeah, only one on screen. AIR, another good follow on Twitter, posted, personally, the only person I'd want AEW to sign from the WWE releases would be, who do you think would be the best person for AEW to sign if they were to sign one of the releases from this year?
No, the only one I know of was, from this year?
From 2023.
Oh, I thought you meant the most recent one a week or so ago.
No. For the whole year, 2023 releases.
Oh, geez. I got to think of who all the releases were. Dolph Ziggler.
That's what my thought was, Dolph Ziggler. He says Mustafa Ali.
Oh, yeah. That would be a good one.
As a South Asian and Muslim, he allows you to tap into a new demo of fans. Also, he's from Chicago, a market AEW frequents regularly.
Yep.
The rest of them don't do anything that anyone really in AEW can and does do. And as much as I'm not crazy about that statement, there is a ring of truth to it. Like, as much as I'd love for him to sign Dolph Ziggler, It would make me really happy because I like Dolph Ziggler. I'm not sure that Ziggler brings something to the brand that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like some coaching or something.
It's not like he's, no offense to him or anything, he's not the caliber of like an Edge or a Punk or whatever like they signed previously. I don't see him, if he were to go there, I see him going for the main title, but I don't see him really bringing anything new to the table that they don't already have, like you said. But Mustafa Ali, on the other hand, yeah, he could make a dent somewhere.
Could be a way to claw back some of that Chicago market you lost
Yep.
when you've got, when you let CM Punk go, basically. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But I mean, yeah, they let a lot of, they let quite a few guys go.
Yeah. When you said releases, I thought you meant the one most recently when they out of nowhere released Mackenzie Mitchell. I always liked her.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think AEW. I think, especially given the amount of screen time they're getting, which is another one. I didn't save that tweet, but women's screen time is like a joke.
Oh yeah.
I think SmackDown was like 7 minutes or something like that a couple of weeks ago. You really don't need. For some reason, they have these bloated female rosters. Like the roster size has never equated to the screen time that they've gotten. It's always been bloated. Always.
Yeah. You bring that up. I think I sent that in our group chat the other day about the roster size and the injuries in each roster. They're pretty close to each other. I think there's only a difference of like 20, 25 people between AEW and WWE.
Yeah, it's interesting. Dan keeps going on and on and on about how it's so bloated. Well, they have 25 less people and the same amount of screen time every week. So
Right.
I'm wondering why he's not going on and on about how bloated the WWE
And
roster
the
is.
injuries are, I think, one AEW was 12 and WWE I think was 15.
Yeah, it was
so
proportional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty proportional. So yeah, it's just like.
But yeah, Ali and AEW, that would be nice to see.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I think he would add something. I'm not sure he's world championship caliber, but you can't have a billion world championship caliber guys.
Right.
But yeah, he does bring something unique. Well, anyways, thanks for hanging out with us, Casual. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget, check out our main show. Comes out every Friday night, Wrestling with the Business. And, let us know below. I'm really interested, how do you feel about the topics discussed? Which releases would you like to see AEW sign, assuming that they do want to sign one of the releases? Sheldon Benjamin could be an interesting signing.
He was let go?
Yeah, Sheldon Benjamin's gone. What should the Hardys do next? What
can't remember anything.
What were your top 5? I'm really interested to hear. Maybe that's something we should put together, what our top 5 lists are for the year.
Yep.
But yeah, let us know down below. Give us some ideas. Until then, you keep watching. We'll keep wrestling with the business.